Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're watching NJ Urban News.
Ethan Stam for NJUrbanNews.com. I'm standing outside of the Ashford and Simpson Sugar Bar here in New York City, where legendary R&B singer Melba Moore just held a release party for her new single, It Seems to Hang On. Now, not too long ago, I actually had the chance to speak with her about the importance of the song, family, and her 50-plus year career in music. Why now? And then also, too, what was it about that song that stuck out to you so much to say, hey, you know, I want to do this, but I want to do it my way?
Well, my daughter brought it to me, so first of all, it's an opportunity now to pass the baton on to her because it's going to be a deluxe addition to my Imagine album. That's the title of the current album. It's doing very, very well, but she brought it to me during the pandemic over a period of time, song by song, and I said after a while, why are you bringing me these songs? And she said, well, my Uncle Bo told me he thinks you should sing these songs. Now, Uncle Bo and her dad, Charles Huggins, are the reason I have like 33 albums out. So they know me as an artist. Well, I should say this, I'm not married to Charles Huggins anymore. We don't really have a relationship anymore. So she brought it to me because she still has a relationship with them. And after she did, I thought, well, of course, we've brought you up in the industry, but I've never worked for you. Excuse me, I'm already thinking of her as my boss. I've never worked with you this way, so I didn't consider us working together, but that's what it's turning out to be. She brought me song by song, and then she told me that her Uncle Bo brought it to her. Then, of course, I realized that more than likely her dad and Uncle Bo were probably involved in it, whether I knew it or not. So although I don't get along with Charles and we don't have a relationship, we have a great synergy music-wise. So before she played the song for me and she told me Uncle Bo wanted it, I had a positive feeling about the possibility. But when I first heard it, she didn't tell me what the song was going to be. I heard the intro, and it sounded really good, but I didn't know what it was. And then I realized it was the hook, It Seems to Hang On. I said, honey, is this Seems to Hang On? She said, yeah, Ma. I said, but it sounds so different and so fresh and so new. I said, wow. I said, well, why are you playing it for me? She said, well, Uncle Bo thinks you should add this to your album, make it a deluxe addition to it. Me singing this? I said, yeah, because the arrangement was so wonderful and fresh and beautiful. Anybody who listens to it, they have to like it right away.
The sound too, it stands out so much, and I don't know exactly how to describe it because it's almost like it's so modern and it's so contemporary that it almost stands out from all the other stuff that's coming out right now and all the short form stuff. It's different though than that stuff. Not that it's so different from the original, but the sound is so different that you might not even think it's the same song or anything of the same ilk of the same song.
Precisely, it does not. There was no way I could know that it was that song when I first heard it until it got to It Seemed to Hang On. You got to know it's because the approach is so different, and I think it's different because Chantel Hampton, who created it, you hear her. She's a young person. My daughter would hear and feel that. So what they've done is they brought me forward. They let me be myself. And when you first hear it, you don't know who it is, you don't care who it is, but you like it. But then I think after a while, if you know my voice, you know it's me. That's, wait a minute, is that Melba Moore?
I know.
And that's just
AI almost. It's like, wait a second.
it's almost imitating me. And so it just gives another punch into the. Of course, I'm talking about it as a hit, but I mean just as a piece of art. The way you entertain people, you kind of bring them in. You let them decide for themselves. You don't just pound them over the head with advertisements and, prejudices to make you like it. You let them decide themselves. And they say, wait a minute, that's Melba Moore? Well, then I really like it.
Well, I got to ask, too, being back in the studio, what has it been like for you? Do you find yourself constantly making changes and doing things differently than you've done in the past?
I think the thing is that now the other songs on the Imagine album are by Ronnie Harris, Janice Dempsey, and Danny Pickering, her husband. But these are people who have known me over the years. They're artists too, and they make the changes in the music. But I don't really make any changes. I mean, I hear what the song is and what the message is, and I think in my voice I'm an actor. And so the changes are there, but I don't really change my style. It's just what is the message, what is the mood, what is the feeling. but not necessarily what is the style. But I mean, if the style changes, of course, you have to accommodate yourself to that. But I don't feel like I'm making any changes because every time I don't write songs. So every time a songwriter brings me something, then I really have to adapt their personality. So I feel like I'm doing that all the time, not like because the era is changing. It's changed drastically. But I think the music around me has changed, not so much me.
You know, you're from New Jersey. I mean, I know that you'd moved from Harlem. I think you were nine years old when you'd moved. Being able to, sort of effectively have it shape you as a person too. Clement Moorman, talk to me about him. Just not only his influence on you musically, because I know that you come obviously from a very musical background. But yeah, I mean, talk about him and his influence on you.
Well, extremely important because your family is the first community. That's where you first have your first cultural beginning. So in the beginning, my family was broken. I lived with my grandmother who had strokes. She didn't speak.
Mama Lou, right?
No, that's
she's your nanny.
Right. She's the one who actually raised me. So she had the greatest influence.
Yeah, absolutely. She did.
She had the greatest influence. So I really spoke and acted like she did. But she was from the backwoods of the South. She was uneducated. She was orphaned. She was illiterate. She didn't even have an adopted family. She was like shifted from family to family. But that's the story of Pearlie and Louisville. She shuffled from one form to the other. What I did was kind of lapse into that and got a Tony Award for it in an acting career. But you asked me what influence did Clement Moorman have on me.
Correct.
He married my mother. Then we moved to Newark. But he had a daughter and a son. So now I had a sister and a brother.
I think you're right. Your stepbrother Dennis was also really. This is something I was curious about too. He was really talented as a pianist. And obviously, when you were younger, I would imagine you'd see him, playing pretty often. Did it ever?
I played too. I let it go because I didn't really play too well, and I wanted to really focus on learning how to sing better and just get stronger at that. But he was excellent, just very, very talented pianist, and we used to fight over who was going to practice. But that made music a part of your insides, your very being. So having music like that and being, playing an instrument, I mean, that's why I wanted to go to Arts High, because I wasn't really thinking about being a singer. I think it was kind of just there and you sing and everybody sang. But playing the piano, you had to study that, you had to work at it. It was an instrument that you had to learn and get good at. And so I think that really changed me, but that came from Clement Moorman. And I'm sure he did that because he was a piano player. Now, he passed away about 5 years ago, but first of all, he was 101 years old. So he had a real value for life. And he was still playing piano and he was still getting paid to get work. So the work ethic, the passion for music, but he was a family man. He was the first man that I had ever seen who looked me in my face, talked to me gently, explained things to me, was there for me. He was a real father. And so they're my stepsister and brother, but we were really sisters and brothers.
You look at what people who are young, really, really young, people in like their late teens, early 20s, so many of them want to become artists. They want to become singers. They want to become songwriters, right? Not only for them, but especially so for people in, growing up in New Jersey, growing up in the, the New York metropolitan area. I guess, what sort of advice would you have for them? I know it's such a, broad, wide-ranging question.
But it's very easy. I would say get involved in it. It doesn't have to be a career. I mean, you have aspirations and you see such great talent and such great opportunities for people to make a lot of money and to be very famous. So you would be encouraged to do that. I wouldn't discourage it at all because you can always drop in and do something else. And music is therapeutic, it's educational, it does so many things for you. It puts you into different experiences and communities. So I would say try it. Then you can always drop in and do something else.
Thank you so much, Melba. I really appreciate it.